Well, it's time now for a look at some of the day's business news. We're starting with a report alleging top corporations are overstating their progress on climate issues. France 24's Cole Stangler is here in studio with more.
That's right, Sharon. Now, this NGO New Climate Institute looked at 25 major multinationals and found they're failing to meet their own targets when it comes to reducing emissions. And the firms have all pledged to reach so-called net zero carbon footprints, but according to the report, their actual strategies to do so are coming up short. It only reduce emissions by 40% on average. Nick Rushworth has a story.
Climate leadership or corporate greenwashing. The NGO, the New Climate Institute, says its monitoring of climate pledges made by 25 leading multinationals do not tally with reality. While the companies say they're aiming for a net zero carbon footprint, they are in practice falling well short. In its Corporate Climate Responsibility Monitor report, it says the climate pledges of 25 of the world's largest companies in reality only commit to reduce their emissions by 40% on average, not 100%. Out of the 25 companies, none were given a high rating. The highest went to Danish shipper Maersk, which it said had reasonable integrity in terms of its climate pledges. However, Amazon, Google and IKEA earned poor ratings. They were categorized as low integrity, while car maker BMW and retailer Carrefour were listed as very low integrity. The report stresses that firms often fail to account for emissions indirectly linked to their services. 70% of Apple's climate footprint, for example, it says, is due to what are called upstream emissions, such as a consumption of energy used by customers using Mac computers and iPhones. Several of the companies have responded to the report, saying they disagree with its findings.
Well, staying on the topic of emissions, regulators in South Korea have leveled a hefty fine against Mercedes. They say the firm installed illegal software during certification tests and engaged in false advertising over gas emissions in diesel cars. They've ordered the automaker and its Korean affiliate to fork over some 14.8 million euros.
국내 수입차 판매 1위 사업자인 벤츠가 1차 디젤 게이트 이후에도 배출가스 저감 성능에 대한 거짓 기만 광고로 소비자들의 합리적인 구매 선택을 방해한 행위를 엄중 제재했다는 점에서 의의가 있습니다.
Let's take a look now at some of the day's trading action. European shares in positive territory to kick off the week. Investors still digesting moves from central banks last week with the ECB opting to keep interest rates unchanged despite record levels of inflation. You can see here to start the day, gains across the board, including on the CAC 40 here, up over 0.6%. Now on the CAC here in Paris, the board of directors of EDF expected to approve a plan to buy the nuclear division of American firm General Electric. You can see here shares for EDF up around 1.5% at the open. Moving on now to the major Asian indexes, where it's been a somewhat quiet day. The Nikkei, the Hang Seng, and the Kospi and Seoul all in the red. Those shares on the Shanghai Composite up around 2%. Investors back after the week-long Lunar New Year holiday. While shares for Toshiba also finished the day in positive territory. After the Japanese conglomerate announced new plans to split into two companies, not three as initially planned. Under the restructuring, the firm aims to split off its device unit, which includes power chips. Toshiba's energy and infrastructure divisions would remain under the same umbrella. Executives also tripled a previous target for shareholder returns. They now promise to deliver some $2.6 billion over the next couple of years. And finally, cryptocurrency players are spending big for a little more time in the spotlight. Next weekend, we'll see the biggest TV event of the year in the U.S. That's the Super Bowl, of course. A 30-second ad on NBC can cost up to $7 million, but it does come with lots of exposure, and that's something cryptocurrency exchanges apparently do not want to pass up. As the Wall Street Journal reports, Coinbase, FTX, and Crypto.com all planning to run spots in the game. No word yet on whether Matt Damon will be reprising his role in an ad for Crypto.com, as you can see here, Sharon. He has gotten some heat over this role. Should be said, though, that these crypto platforms do have some hefty financial resources.
I think it's the one where he compared buying Bitcoin to scaling Everest.
Yeah,
exploring
something
big
like
claims from Matt Damon. You'd expect nothing less from the actor. Cole Stangler, thanks so much for joining us in studio. We're